RG3 out of Washington. Earlier in the show, we talked about Chris Cooley's comments and how he thought Robert Griffin III wasn't well liked by his Redskins teammates. And here's some more of what he had to say on ESPN 980 in Washington, D.C.
It was never a great relationship. I don't think Robert ever wanted it to be a great relationship. And I think it became really contentious over the last 2 years to where Rex Grossman, a guy who I'm close with, said, "This is weird in here. This is a bad situation in here between the two. These guys don't like each other."
So, Cooley also went on to say that the offensive line had problems with RG3 as well. Joining us at the desk, NFL analyst Ryan Clark. And listen, this is a guy you know. This is a guy that you played with. So your thoughts on Cooley?
I played with both of them.
So what are your thoughts on Cooley's comments? Then,
you don't even want those.
No, we do.
No, we do. Yeah, we kind of do.
They don't call it first take for nothing.
Man, listen, man. First of all, like that dude, anything he says, I don't necessarily pay attention to it. You know, because a lot of people get out of football and forget who they were when they played football. Forget that they didn't work hard. Forget that they weren't the first guy in the building. And then decide to hear things and criticize people inside those locker rooms.
So you saying Chris Cooley's that guy?
No question. He's just, right now, he's just a dude that gets his rocks off, bashing people. I was there in Washington my last year, and that's what he did. There's never really a lot of substance to what he says. There's never really a lot of research into what he says. But that's for another time. We'll deal with that another time. But when we're talking about RG and the situation, y'all seen Next Friday? Have any of y'all seen Next Friday?
Mm-hmm.
And you remember when Craig was about to get at Pinky, and he didn't want Craig didn't want, Pinky didn't want to get at him. He's like, "Don't hurt me, brother." He was like, "I got a girlfriend and a wife on the side." And that's the same thing the Washington Redskins have had since they drafted RG3 in the first round and Kirk Cousins in the fourth round of the same draft. I mean, you saying like these guys don't get along? Duh. They're not going to get along. Like, and why do they need to? Why do they need to be friends? Like, we have this sorry misconceptions about locker rooms. Like, we all hang out. We all go out to eat.
Just remember the Titans.
That's not how it works. We don't sing together. No, in Pittsburgh, it was a different situation. But it's not like that everywhere. And quarterbacks are weird dudes for the most part. They just are.
How so?
Because they're just different people. Most of them, the good ones, have been the best at everything since they were born. They've been treated a different way than the rest of us since the inception of football. So it's just different. Now, the thing about RG, I'm not going to say people dislike him. I'm not going to say they like him either, because he was hard to get to know. Like, I got to know him because I made the effort to get to know him. I made the effort to text him when times were hard after the games. I made the effort to even text him in the offseason when things were going down. And so he's a track guy, right, which is a very individual sport. He's an Army kid. These things aren't conducive to group settings. They aren't like, hey, I know how to make friends really well. So he was kind of to himself. He was hard to get to know in a way. But that's not bad things. And as far as he said in the offensive line, take heat, you think so we have never heard a coach say after the game, well, Robert dropped the wrong way. He looked the wrong way when he threw the ball. He didn't go through his progressions correct. He got all the blame he needed for getting sacked. And so this is some hogwash.
Can I give him because I disagreed with you? The
former NFL player who knows RG3?
Just stop talking.
Oh.
Movie references are out of hand at this point.
He
Neil
just dropped
Lebowski,
seven.
Next Friday,
So
draft.
Lion
You just
King.
threw in Lion
King.
So, actually, what Cooley said is the point. And it's not because I want to get Ryan Clark and Chris Cooley into a fight versus viral videos or something. It's because when we had this segment earlier, the question was this. Is what Chris Cooley said true? That's it. Now, you point out Rex Grossman or Kirk Cousins and RG3 weren't buddies, big deal. And I agree with you. The question is this part of what Cooley said true? The fact that the offensive line, according to Cooley, the wide receivers, and the quarterbacks, none of them liked RG3. None of them, in fact, what he's insinuating is RG3 played the blame game, threw them under the bus, and therefore the conclusion would be bad teammate. Is that true, Ryan?
No. And it's not.
He's not a bad teammate.
You know, it's not.
What kind of teammate is RG3?
It's not true. He's RG3. This is what I'll say. He's as good a teammate as Ben Roethlisberger was. Maybe even a better teammate than Ben Roethlisberger was. But you know what Ben does? He wins football games. Ben plays extremely good football. Ben has rings, right? So I'm not saying you can't give some credence to what Chris Cooley said, but when RG3 was balling his rookie year, he was the same dude, Will. He wasn't a different dude. But we didn't hear this because he was balling, right? So, yes, it may be a sense of, oh, they don't know him, they don't like him, this and that, but that's not RG3's problem. RG3 is not a cancer in the locker room as it pertains
That's the
to
question,
teammates.
right? That's the question. If you are
But
the
he's
GM of the
not, though.
Texans or the 49ers, you're going to ask that question, and your answer, Ryan Clark,
No,
is
he's not. He's not. And you don't. I think we're missing the boat in saying, like, he's the most criticized and critiqued dude off the field other than Cam to me. Cam gets it a lot, right? And we didn't have to see real Cam because the other Cam won 17 games before we had to watch the real one in the Super Bowl.
Right.
Right? And so when Chris Cooley says these things like, oh, it's weird here, these guys don't like each other. Well, the reason is this. When RG3 was playing extremely well, there was nothing Kirk Cousins could say, right? Kirk Cousins hasn't played extremely well until now. So there was no reason for there to be contention. Now Kirk Cousins feels like he's the man. RG3's not. He had to stay out of the way. So now he has an issue, and the team told him RG won't be here next year now because Kirk's the guy. So it's about the playing field that makes the relationship. It's not about what we do, how we kick it, how we talk, how we do these things. Because there's times you don't even see each other. They sit in the meeting room, they do their work, their lockers are where they are, and you live life. So the fact that they say the offensive line had to take blame and RG3 played the blame game, the only thing I can say RG3 did that I didn't agree with as far as on the podium was when he was like, you know, Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers, they don't play well when the people around them aren't great. And when Jay Gruden got up in the meeting that day and talked about what Eli Manning said in the loss and what Peyton Manning said in the loss and didn't address RG3 directly, you could ask any Redskin. I stood up. I said, hey, man, let's stop beating around the bush. Here's the thing, RG, are you right? Do people need to play great around you for you to play well? I said, yes. I said, should it ever be said out loud? No. And that was that.
All right.
Other than that, the dude cool. Like, let's stop beating up on, let the man play football. Who worried about Chris Cooley anyway? Who worried about that, man?
Well, I guess we're not worried about him anymore.
And I'm sorry, because I really love Freddie, and I really love Kate, and I couldn't let them talk, because Will won't take Cooley
whoa,
out. So,
wait a minute.
No, you're not going anywhere.
do you see what happens when I get my sushi? Do you see how I act when I get my sushi?
Oh, you're
No, you're safe. You're not going anywhere.
All right, so listen, we've got more Ryan Clark after their break.
I'm not talking next time.
Yeah,
No,
you
you
are.
have to.
Yes, you are.
Everybody's
And I'm
going to
not
talk. Our next question, where's the best fit for RG3? Stay tuned right here on First Take.
You can't look like Chris Cooley in the pigeon coop.
See,